ancestors, they didn't take advantage. They really didn't take advantage. And I think it's because they weren't ready, you know, they weren't ready. And you could say, well, even after 40 years, you would think that they're not ready. They're not ready to go into the land and ready to do what he asked them to do. You know, and that's the truth. They weren't ready, you guys, even after 40 years. And we found because they listened to their family members, their ancestors, their fathers and their mothers and their uncles, and they saw the way that they were living. And they said, well, you know what? You know, yeah, I killed them, but, you know, we've been here for 40 years. We're all right, you know, and it's all right. And, you know, there was some improvement. You know, they were ready to go in and all that kind of stuff, but there were still things that Yah said that they just didn't get. And as time went on, they still didn't fully understand. And we're going to learn that in our Torah portion this week. You know, Yah says tavo. Tavo means to when you come into the land that I have set aside for you. So let me share my screen with you so we can get started on this and see if we can gather something out from our study tonight. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, wonderful, thank you. So, all right, so I'm going to be reading from right to left, and I'm verifying whether or not these letters and these words that they're using underneath it is true. So I'll read from, and it shall come to pass, right to the right of your screen, you shall see it, and wahaya, okay, meaning it shall exist. This shall exist, the ki tavo, when you come. That tav right there is you, and nevo means to come or to go into the land in which Asher Yahweh Eloheka is notain. That means he's currently giving to you, okay, as an inheritance. And second line right here, same verse, Rishta, that means to you to go and possess, and with Shavta, for you to take a seat. You know, our word shav or shuv means to return and to turn back, but also means to remain. Yah's purpose was for the children of Israel to go into this land and occupy it and remain there in its place. And then he says, you know, you shall take walakakta, the medrushith. I need you to take from the first of all the fruit. They got produce right there, but that's not true. It's the fruit. All the fruit of the ground, the ha'adamah. The word pari means fruit, not produce. Produce is, I think, tabuatha. So the pari, the ha'adamah, which is from the land, I want you to give that when you tavi. Okay. So in your studies, what I want you to recognize is that, again, in the Torah portions, they usually will give you this word, like this number 935, and it'll be right here again, 935, right? And so that is going to be a theme. You're going to start seeing this all the time. And they might put different letters in front of it. They might put, you know, it might be pronounced different, but it's exactly the same thing. So tavo is the same word as tavi, okay, meaning when you come, but it's how it's done. So up at top in verse number 1, it's done in a very simple way, okay, very simple, a qual, meaning a simple way. And this one right here is in a causative way, okay, when you shall be caused to come into your land from the land which Yahweh Elohim is giving you. So I want you to take the fruit, the pari, from that in particular land, and I want you to, that Yahweh is giving you, and I need you to take it and put it in a basket, okay? I'm going to put this in a basket and go to the place, the Hamakom, in which Asher Yivkar Yahweh Eloheka, which is to say, which he has chosen, Yahweh, your Elohim, to La Shekinah to Shemosham, where he shall make his abode. Now, at this moment, when they went into the land, there was no temple. Okay, so wherever he would place his name, meaning wherever that tent that he was dwelling in, where the Ark of the Covenant was in, that's where they would bring this basket. Okay, the basket is what I would call evidence. The basket of these first fruits that are coming out of the ground is evidence to the fact. And he says, when you come here, again, he's using the word here instead of come, he's using the word go. Look how he uses it right here. Uvatha. So one is tavo, the other one is the uvi, and then here's with the uvatha. Same thing, saqual, but this time is saying when you shall go. One and the same, come and go to the HaKohen who exist in that day. Okay. So this is something that's supposed to always happen, right? In the days of those days. And you are supposed to say something to Yah. Okay. I'm staying in Hebrew just for now because I want to get to a certain word that you will, I could be able to tell you a little bit more about. Okay. So he's saying when you go to the priest, one who is in the days of those, and say to him, these are the things that you're supposed to say. You're supposed to say, well, Hagati, right? Hagati here means that I need you to make it known. I'm declaring. That's what I wanted to share with you. That's why I haven't gone anywhere. I need to cause you to know this is what you, individual, second person, you on the end tie here of Marta, you are supposed to say this. You're supposed to say, I declare today to Yahweh, right in front of Yahweh, the key, the vati, that I have come perfectly to the haaretz in which nishba Yahweh Elo the la abothenu, that he has sworn to our fathers to give us. So the basket of fruit is an actual declaration to the fact that you're saying that Yahweh did what he swore to our fathers, abothenu, to give to us. That's the declaration. I'm making it known. And the only way you can make that known is by that basket of fruit. Okay. Not your tithes, a basket of fruit or your first fruits. Okay. Somebody tell me, why does y'all want the first fruit?
Because it's the best.
It's the best. And that's exactly what Yah has chosen. He's chosen the firstborn of humanity. He's chosen the firstborn of animals. And where did he declare to them that he wanted the firstborn? What caused him? Yes, Mizraim. Okay. So he chose to take the firstborn, which is the strength of that country. He wiped the strength out of a country, right? And based on our relationship with him, he says, now you are going to be my strength. Now I've chosen you now as a firstborn to me. So you are my son. Okay. You're my firstborn son. And, you are the strength. So if that's the case, then our lives have to match up to that which is conducive to that which belongs to the firstborn. What does the firstborn son get from their fathers?
Inheritance. It's two-thirds of inheritance.
Yes, you get a double portion. You get a double portion, exactly. So if it is broken up into thirds, you would get 2/3. You get a double. You absolutely get that. And it's really what they would call birthright. Okay. So it's a birthright that's given to the firstborn. Okay. What Yah said in the Torah last week, he said that if a man had a wife and he had two wives, one he loved and one he hated, he would not be able to pass over the wife that he hated who had the firstborn son. You would have to give that right to him of everything. So the firstborn receives a double portion. Okay. Question: who's the oldest out of Esau and Jacob?
Esau.
Esau is. Yes, he is. And so when his father was about to die, he said, well, let me bring my sons and come in here. Let me bring my son who I'm going to bless. I only have two sons, so I'm going to go tell him what I want to give him. And so, Mama Rivka, I heard about it. She's like, hey, I'm going to do what Yah told me. She already knew that this is what he's supposed to receive. So Yaakov has taken the role of a firstborn son. Okay. He didn't cheat his brother out of that. He didn't. Yah gave it to Yaakov because he said, I love Yaakov, but I hated Esau. Okay. Also, too, you might say, well, didn't that just break Yah's Torah? No, because Yah didn't break his Torah. Yah is the creator. Often we hear too that Yah has it's a contradiction when it talks about how he feels about taking his wife back, even though she's been this prostitute, or she's been this woman who's been whoring, and she's been with a whole bunch of other men and so forth and so on. Yah uses the prophet Hosea to tell us about how Yah says, I'm going to take back this woman who was this way to me. So, and Yah has told us in the Torah, well, a man who's been with a woman, he can't go back to the woman that he's divorced, right? So Yah has put in a divorce decree, but Yah never followed through with it. That's what he's done. He says, we asked the question, where is your mother's divorce decree? Where is it? He's asking the question, where is it? Because he might have had the paperwork, but he never gave it to her. So you can see his mercy. You can see his compassion. We're going to flip now to the English so we can get a little bit further. Okay. So Yah is very merciful. We're starting in verse 4. And so once the Kohen receives this basket, right, and he's going to take it from the person's hand, he's going to set it down right in front of the altar of Yahweh, right? And then in the presence of Yahweh, you are to say, my ancestor was a nomad from Aram, okay? And he went down to Egypt, few in number, and stayed, and there he became great, strong, and populous nation. Well, this is not a good translation, okay? The true translation of this in particular verse, in verse number 4 is that, or excuse me, verse number 5, is that you're going to say that your father, you're not saying your father was an Armenian or a Syrian, like a lot of people like to say. What it's saying is that my father was being abused, okay, and trying to, the Armenian or the Armenian, or they call the Syrian, the Arami is his uncle. And what's his uncle's name? Who's Yaakov's uncle?
Laban.
It's Lavan. Lavan was trying to destroy Yaakov. You guys remember that story? So he's the Arami because he's the Lavan, the Syrian. Okay. And right, because Yaakov's father was not a Syrian. He wasn't. Okay. And he says, my father, this in particular person tried to destroy my father. Okay. And so it's not that my father was a Syrian or he's an Arami. And he said he went down to Mitzrayim and he dwelt there. And then they have this word that I found to be interesting. It's called Memukan. Okay. In English, but in Hebrew is called Abinthe. Okay. And Abinthe is a prince. Okay. It's a prince. But if you notice, it is in a plurality. Multiple are male, plural, common. Okay. So when he went there down to Mitzrayim, it said he went with this. Okay. The Binthe. And let me show you. In English, it doesn't tell you that. And I was wondering why. Why didn't they tell you this? You don't see any indication of him saying that he went down to Mitzrayim. He just said he went few in number, but he didn't tell you that he went with princes. Our fathers, which are the 12 tribes of Israel, are royal. Okay. They're a royal family. And we are from a line of kings and queens. That's where we're from. Our father was a prince, right? He wasn't a king. Yah called him a prince, right? Prince means you're from royalty. Our king is Yahweh. And so the princes and the princesses are from this line. And we can see this in chapter number 17 of Genesis. You may want to write that down, where Yah says, out of Sarah, and let me show it to you right quick, since I mentioned it. He said that Sarai is going to be, kings are going to proceed from her. So let's just jog over there right quick. So you can have it in your notes and you can actually see it tonight. There's no second guessing here. Okay. So in 17, it says, he was 99 years old. Let's talk about the circumcision. And let me see, 16, third decision is for you to keep my covenant. Oh, is that? I think he asked. 13. No, is it 13? When did he tell him that? Forgive me, guys. I thought it was in 17. This is Sir. Okay, you recall Sir and Margarita. No, this is where he was asking. Abraham was asking the Most High, "Hey, how about Ishmael?" You know, verse number 18. Only if Ishmael could live in your presence, right? And Elohim answered, "No, Sarai, your wife, will bear a son, and you will call him Yitzchak, and I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his descendants after him, not for Ishmael." Okay. And so he tells him that he's going to have some different sons, but that's not what I wanted to show you. 17. Is it 15? Okay. Hold on for just one moment. I should have that. Genesis. Little sheath. No, I was in 7. It's correct. It's 17. I just didn't see it. Okay. Verse number. Okay, yeah, verse number 15. I don't know how I didn't see that. All right, so Yah says this to Abraham in chapter number 17. I was correct. Elohim said to Abraham, "As for Sarai, your wife, you are not to call her Sarai," meaning mockery. Her name is to be Sarah, a princess. "I will bless her, moreover, and I will give you a son by her, and truly I will bless her. She will be a mother of nations. Kings of peoples will come from her." You see, that's where it's at. So our ancestry is one of royalty, and this is the reason why Yah has been on us about how we live our lives and how we should look at the Torah and why. And he gave us the Torah, and hear me, he's given us the Torah in order to fulfill what he promised our fathers. Okay, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. They understood this, and you and I are just the recipients on the tail end of the deal, where we're having to find out whether or not you and I want to be royal. Okay, I know recently the Queen died, and everybody's upset about that, and everybody's seeing a lot of pomp and circumstance, and seeing all these rulers from all over the world come. And I have something special for you later on this week to tell you about what's going to happen with those groups that came and visited the Queen or went to her funeral. Okay, the same nations that went there are going to go somewhere else too. Okay, so back to what we're talking about. Yah is letting us know that you guys are a royal family, and I'm asking you to, when you come to me, understand that I brought you down from Param down to Mizraim. And when you went there, you didn't go in as a whole bunch of, I would say, in a slogan, a street term, busters. You didn't go in there with just nothing. Okay. You guys went in there, and you guys were princes when you went there. And your father went there with just a few of you guys. Only 70 people went. And there you became even great, and you became strong, and you became very populous. Okay. Because Yah has decided to bless this seed called Yisrael. Okay. And so the Egyptians had treated us badly. They oppressed us in verse number 6, and they imposed very harsh slavery on us. That word harsh right there is called quashe, and quashe means that which is very firm and very hard. Okay. And they've done a lot of damage to us. And basically the way that they've treated us over that time when we were down there is what developed their character. This is why Yah says that you guys have a quashe neck, is because your slavery was very difficult and was very hard. Okay. Does anyone know why Yah brought them into slavery in Mizraim? What did they do to deserve it? They didn't have any Torah that they broke. Why did they go?
They deterred from the ways of their ancestors.
Yes. Yes.
They were
Yes,
worshiping false idols.
They were worshiping false idols. They were doing a lot of different things. They left away from their ways of their fathers, because a lot of us think, and I'm saying our group, but a lot of people believe that the sons of Israel, like Yehuda and all them, didn't follow any law, and they didn't follow anything that was instructions that were given by their fathers, and that's not true. That's not true. Yah told Yaakov to tell his descendants, and let me make sure I can show this to you and see if I can have this as well to verify. Yaakov, before he went down, I think I'm in chapter number 20, 35 on the third day. Okay, here it is. I was correct. 35. All right. So now let's look at Genesis 35. Okay. Better sheaf. Let's look at this. I want to show you something, because I asked the question, why did Yah let them go into slavery? What did they do? And here it is. Chapter number 35 of Genesis says this. And of course, we're going to go back here. The book of Deuteronomy, or Devarim, is almost complete. Okay. We're coming to the end. Right? It's almost done. Elohim said to Yaakov, get up and go to Bethel, okay, and live there, and make there an altar to Elohim, who appeared to you when you fled Esau, your brother. So this is right after he leaves uncle, right, Lavan, and he has his kids, and he fled from his brother, and now he met his brother, but he's like, told Esau, hey, I'm gonna meet you back at the land. We're gonna get together, no worries. But Yah says, I want you to go somewhere else. Okay, I want you to go to Bethel. And so then Yaakov said to his household and all others with him, get rid of the foreign gods. That's what I need you to do. I need you to get rid of your foreign gods. So based on what we have here, this is evidence that the children of Yaakov were idolatrous. He says, purify yourselves and put on fresh clothes, right? We're going to move on to Bethel, and Bethel, somebody tell me what that means. Bet means what? You live in one. It's your house. The house of El. That's where we're going. We're going to his house, okay? And there I will build an altar to Elohim, who answered me when I was in such distress. And he stayed with me wherever I went, because when he came and visited me on that ladder, I told him that whatever I get, you hear me, whatever I get from you, I will give you 1/10 of everything that I receive. This is what our father has said to Yah. He said, I'll give this to you if you will what? If you will be with me wherever I go. You see? So where did that happen at? Let's see. I think it's in chapter number 20. 28. All right. See? So do you guys see that right there? So they got rid of their gods, but they were idolatrous. Okay. And so they gave Yaakov all their foreign gods in their possession and the earrings they were wearing. And Yaakov buried them under the pistachio tree near Shechem. Okay. And then while they were traveling, a terror from Elohim fell upon the cities around them, so that none of them pursued the sons of Yaakov, because Yah can do that. Don't touch these people. But in chapter number 28, I want to show you about the tithing and where it came from, because our Torah portion deals with this first fruit. It deals with the tithes. It deals with all these things, right? And so you got to ask yourself, well, where did this come from? Where did this come from? And let's go and see where it says this in verse number 10 of 28. You can write this down. All right, so now we see Yaakov in verse number 10. He went out from Beersheba, okay? And Be'er means the wells of what? Seven wells. Sheva means seven. Be'er means wells. So there were 7 wells that he traveled, and he went down toward Haran, and he came to a certain place, and he stayed there. He stayed the night there because the sun had set, and he took a stone from the place, and he put it underneath his head. Okay. And he lay down there to sleep, and he dreamt that there before him was a ladder resting on the ground with its top reaching up to the Shamayim. And the Malachim, not angels, the Malachim of Yahweh were going up and down on this ladder. And so he's having this dream, or this vision, a dream, excuse me. And suddenly Yahweh was standing there next to him. Okay, so in his dream, he's standing, and Yah's right next to him. Yah's next to him in the dream. And he said, I am Yahweh, the Elohim of Abraham, your grandfather. Well, here they put grand, but it's really your father, and the Elohim of Yitzchak. The land in which you are lying, I will give to you and your descendants. Your descendants will be as numerous as the grains of the dust of the earth. Not only the stars, folks, but also the grains of the dust, not only the grains of dust of the earth, but also the sun, the stars and the sand. So everything that Yah tells us about is like, I'm going to make you so numerous, you won't be able to count it. You can't count the grains of dust on the earth. So that's how many people we're going to be. You and I might be low in numbers right now, but Yah's intent is to grow us to where no one can count us. You will expand to the west and to the east and to the north and to the south. And by you and your descendants, all the families of the earth will be blessed. Now, I'm going to let you in on something. Yahweh's desire is to fill the whole entire earth with our descendants. I hope you can see that. If he's saying, listen to this carefully, the grains, and he also talks about how David said, hey, extend my borders, not only from the Euphrates, but from one end of the earth to the other. Yah's intention is to put us through the whole entire earth. Okay? By you and your descendants and all the families of the earth will be blessed. Meaning, listen, you and I are going to be the representatives for Yah as a blessed seed of people that are going around the earth and teaching people and bringing them to Yah. Okay. Look, I am with you. This is what Yah says. I'm with you. I will guard you wherever you go, and I will bring you back. I'm going to bring you back into this land. Okay. Wherever you go, I'm going to bring you back. So let's ask a question. He went over to Syria and he got mistreated by Uncle Lavan for over 21 years. He leaves, he comes back, and he ends up going to Bethel. That's where he ends up going. Okay, so Yah kept his promise. So I'm going to bring you back. But also, too, a famine occurred, and that's how we ended up going down to Mitzrayim, because I won't leave you until I have done what I have promised you. Okay, so this right here is a promise that Yah has made to our Father. And so every time you and I start to begin to get a little shaky about whether or not Yah is going to keep what he said, all you have to remember is this, is that Yah says, I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. I'm never going to leave you until I have accomplished it, till I have done what I said I was going to do. So our Elohim is an Elohim of promise, and he keeps his promises. Right? Just like he kept his promise to put us in slavery. He kept his promise to, for you guys to leave the land. He promised to put us out to the north, to the east, to the south, to the west. I promised to destroy this temple if you guys, do X, Y, and Z. I promised you that, and I kept my word. Yaakov awoke from his sleep and said, truly, Yahweh is in this place. Okay? And that place that he had is called Bethel. And then he became afraid and said, this place is fearsome. This has to be the house of Elohim. This is the gate, the Sha'areka of the Shamayim. Okay, so there was a portal. As he recognized this. This is an encounter that no other human being has ever had with the King of the universe. And so Yaakov got up early in the morning and he took the stone that he had put under his head and he set it up as a standing stone and he poured olive oil on it, right? And then he named the place Bethel. That's how that name got there, because he said, this is the house of Elohim. Bet means house and El is Elohim, right? The house of power. But the town had originally been called Luz. Now, listen to this carefully. This explains why you and I should bring that basket. Yaakov took this vow. Remember, in our Torah portion over the last several months, we've been learning about how important vows are. It says, be careful, let the vow that comes past your lip and not fulfill it. Okay. So our father took a vow. He says, if Elohim will be with me and will guard me as he said he would on this road that I'm traveling, giving me bread to eat and clothes to wear, so that I return to my father's house in shalom and peace, then Yahweh will be my Elohim. Okay. And this stone, which I have set up as a standing stone, will be Elohim's house, and everything you give me, I will faithfully return 1/10 to you. That's how the tithing started. Okay. So when we were Christians, would they tell us that why we should pay our tithes? Who is the character that they use to support the argument, this is the reason why we pay a tithe, according to the book of Hebrews, if you can remember it? I know it's been a while since we've been over there. What's the name of the guy that they told us, well, because he paid a tithe, that Abraham paid a tithe to who?
Melchizedek.
Now we see that there's a contradiction here, right? So our father wasn't paying a tithe to Yahweh based upon a tithe given to Melchizedek. And our Elohim is not Melchizedek, folks. He's not. That's the New Testament doctrine. Our tithing comes from our father making a vow to the Creator. And when he made that vow is for him and all of his descendants, all the way down for eternity. So this is the reason why Yah is asking for the tithe from us. This is the reason why he's asking for the first fruits. This is the reason why he's asking for the 3 years of tithes. Okay, so tithing was a time of, gathering your fruits, your vegetables, your animals, everything, the sheep's fur and everything. You're supposed to bring it, and you're supposed to bring it to Yah, and Yah would then take that and he would distribute it to who? Who do Yah distribute it to?
It was distributed to the widows, orphans, strangers.
Yes, absolutely. So you got that right. The 4 social classes, remember there are 8 of them. The 4 that's in our house, which is your son, your daughter, and your servant, your male and female servant. The other 4 is outside of your house, which is the levy, the stranger, the widow, and the fatherless. Okay. Yah tells us that I will definitely, if you mistreat them in any kind of way, I'm going to put an end to you, because that's what's important. Because Yah's like, you were a stranger. Okay. I've made your women into widows, and I made them fatherless. And so what we need to understand is that Yah will put people in certain positions in order for the Torah to be fulfilled. Okay. So yeah, we might be on the end of the deal as his chosen, set apart, going to be the Kohanim to the nations, be representatives for him. But there's a great deal of responsibility that goes along with being that. So when we talk about nobility and we talk about our royalty, we have certain things to do. I mean, they said about the queen that she was selfless, but yet she was oppressive, you see? So that's not what we're talking about, okay? We're talking about being what Yah has asked us to be. So it goes on back. We're back in chapter number 26 in our Torah portion. It says, but the Egyptians treated us badly, right? Very harsh. They're very harsh on us. Yah has done this, okay? He's done it to them, not only because they were idolatrous and because they were, following the ways and the practices of the Egyptians, but Yah has done this in order for them to be able to call out to him, in order for him to come and get them, okay? And this is important for us to understand, because it's only when you and I call on him. And listen, they did not know him, okay? They didn't know him. And what do I mean by that? Because listen what it says. And it says, so we cried out to Yahweh. Okay, this is what they said. They're only saying Yahweh's name here because in chapter number 3 and 4 of Exodus, Moshe told them what his name was. Before they didn't have a worship in Yahweh. And listen, you and I would think they cried out to him, right? You think they cried out to him? No, they were crying out. Their cry, listen, is like a baby crying out for their mother. Okay. Yeah. Only reason why Yahweh has heard them is because he's the Elohim of our ancestors, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. Okay. In this context right here, it's not that they called directly to Yahweh. What they did was they're naming him right here, but they didn't know his name prior to chapter number 3 and 4 of Exodus. He's saying that right now we know who he is. He is the Elohim of our ancestors. Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. Well, I thought you said in Exodus chapter number 6 that our ancestors didn't know him. Check this out so we can verify, so you can get the understanding of what the Torah is saying. In Exodus chapter number 6, I believe is in verse number, let's just start in 1. Listen what Yah said. Yahweh said to Moshe, now you will see what I'm going to do to Pharaoh. With a mighty hand, he will send them off. With force, he will drive them off from the land. Elohim spoke to Moshe and he said, I am Yahweh. Listen to this. I appeared to Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov as El Shaddai. Although I did not make myself known to them by the name Yohewaheh. They didn't know Yohewaheh. Well, I thought you just said that he made a altar, and we've heard Abraham call Yah by the name of Yahweh. He called him Yahweh. So what does he mean that they don't know me? Tell me, somebody just give me your ideas on how did Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov did not know him as Yohewaheh?
He didn't have to save them from anything.
Yes, Dr. Yared. He did not have to save them. He did not have to do mighty signs. He didn't have to extend his arm. He didn't have to do that. He asked Abraham to leave his land, and he left. He didn't have to go in there and take him from bondage. He didn't do that. He didn't do that with them. Okay. So when you look at the name Yohewaheh, within that name, well, let me continue. Also with them, I established my covenant to give them the land of Canaan, the land where you wandered about and lived as foreigners. Moreover, I have heard the groanings of the people. See, they're crying out is saying, I was crying, but I didn't know Yahweh prior to what? To him delivering me. And this is why Yah is telling you and I, as always, he says, then you will know. Because right now, you and I really don't know. You and I know the name like Yahweh. We know how to say it, but we don't have no experience. Oh, you better hear what he's saying. Moreover, I heard the groanings of the people from Mitzrayim, right? From the Egyptians, whom the Mitzrayim are keeping in slavery. They're binding them. Remember, we talked about they put pressure. I have remembered my covenant. Okay. Therefore, say to the people of Israel, I am Yahweh. I will free you from the forced labor of the Egyptians. Rescue you from their oppression, redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great judgments. Okay. So before I get going, and I get excited every time I think about it, when he says I'm Yahweh, not Adonai, when I say Yahweh, listen, Yahweh tells you what he, like Dr. Yared just said. These are the things I want you to listen very carefully. I will free you. Okay. Now I will not only free you, but also rescue you. I'm going to rescue you. I'm going to free you. That's 1. That's 2. From their oppression, I'm going to redeem you. That's 3. Okay. With the outstretched arm with great judgments. 4, I will take you as my people. 5, I will be your Elohim. Okay. Then you will know that I am Yahweh, your Elohim, who freed you from forced labor of the Egyptians. Listen, he's not done. I will bring you into the land which I swore to give to Abraham, the Yitzchak, and Yaakov, right? I will give it to you as an inheritance. I am Yahweh. So within this, okay, and of course, Moshe said this to the people of Israel, but they wouldn't listen to him because they were so discouraged because their slavery was so quaché. It was so difficult and so hard. It was a hardship that they couldn't handle. So in the understanding of all these I wills, okay, these are the very powerful telling you who he is, and then you will know. You will only know that he's Yahweh when he does these things for you. Just like he did it for our ancestors in Mitzrayim, everyone, he's going to do the same for us. Now, the question is this. They cried out because of the harshness and the difficulty that they were going through. Do you think right now, because that's why he remembered his covenant. That's what he just said. I remembered it because they were groaning. I heard the groanings of the people of Israel, right? And then they testify in our Torah portion that they cried out, right? Didn't know what God they were crying out to, but they cried. They were crying, okay? And the Elohim of their fathers heard them. My question to us tonight is, if it's left in the hands of Yisrael, they're scattered all over the four corners of the earth, if we had to wait for them to cry out and to turn and to do what Yah says, would you and I ever get out of here?
No.
No. So, okay, listen to me. So with that being said, I've had teachers and scholars and priests and rabbis say, oh, we gotta cry out to them, because they're going off of this right here where he said they cried out and he heard them. So they say, well, you got to suffer really a lot before they go, before he comes. They got to suffer something really bad, and then he'll come. You know, and that right there is not true. That's not true. What we have to do now, which we're going to go over on Thursday a little bit more in detail, what you and I have to do right now is you and I, the individuals that have chosen not to rebel against this great king, is you and I are going to have to get rid of our gods. We're going to have to get rid of our idols. And when I say get rid of our idols, I'm not just talking about abandoning Christianity. What I'm talking about is abandoning the thought life that goes along with idolatry. Okay. The things that go along with idolatry is everything outside of the way that Yah wants us to think. Okay. Our thoughts and our behaviors are indicative of what Elohim that you and I serve. This is a high level, high frequency thought, what I'm saying. Okay. But I'm going to say it again in a very, very basic way. If you and I don't conform to the ways of Yah, and we don't adapt to his ways, and we don't subscribe to what he says, right? Then you and I are worshiping another God, because he says that you have to follow my ways. You have to adhere to what I has said. Okay. You can't listen to anyone else. I don't want you to listen to anyone else. The only individual I gave authority for you to get instruction about turning back to me was Moshe. The prophets are telling you what I'm going to do, but they're not instructing you. Okay. And if they did tell you what the problem was, is simply you didn't listen to what I said. It's always going to be the Torah. So if we really believe that our Elohim exists, okay, then you and I are going to have to change the way that we think. Okay, your thought is what he's after. He's after the mind, which in English and in the Bible and different books here, you say it says the heart. It's not the heart, everyone. It's the mind. Okay, so if he exists to us, he really exists, then you and I would say, well, if he exists, then we're going to have to do what he just said. That's the only way you can prove that he exists. You can't prove that he exists and you don't follow the diet. You're saying he doesn't exist because you don't follow. And if you believe that that he exists, but yet you're not doing what he says, you're deceiving yourself. Okay. I thought, well, surely Yah's not going to ask too much of us, and he's not going to put us under more pressure than what we should be. And he understands that we came from slavery and so forth. Yeah, that might be the case. We might have come from slavery, and yes, a lot of us don't know, right? But that's not going to be an excuse, okay? Because Yah says that I've talked to you, I've spoken to you, but you guys are not listening to me, okay? So back to our Torah portion, I had to take you there because I wanted you to understand that the only way that you and I can prove that Yahweh exists is by us, the way we live our lives. And then, sorry for detouring, Yah is coming back for a people who have decided to think like him. He's not waiting for anybody to cry out. The cry is going to come when he comes. That's when the cry is going to come. That's when the moaning and the groaning and the I'm tearful and I'm sorry and all that's coming. Right now, if we left up to Yisrael, they would never cry out. You and I would have no hope. So, and we know this, okay? So it says, we're back in the Torah portion. It says that they cried. So we cried out to Yahweh, the Elohim of our ancestors, and Yahweh heard us and he saw our misery and toil and oppression. He saw the Ra, he saw that was miserable and dysfunctional. He saw the toil, all the hard work and the exhaustion. They were exhausted, okay? And he used this, right, to cause the people, and it says in the Psalms that Yah caused Mizraim to do this to them, to hate them and to treat them this way, okay? And you say, well, that doesn't seem nice, but Yah does these things in order to bring about what his plan is. And so Yahweh brought us out of Mizraim with a strong hand and a stretched out arm and with great terror and signs and wonders. Now he has brought us to this place, okay? And he's given us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey, that which can be sucked, which is either the breast of an animal or the breast of a woman, okay? Or the fatness of the land and the sweetness of the land. And he says, therefore, as you see, I now have brought this first fruits of the land, okay, because they are the first fruits of the land, which Yahweh has given me. And you are then to take that basket down from before Yahweh your Elohim, prostrate yourself before Yahweh. And that prostrating there is to bow down with your face to the ground and take joy in all the good that Yahweh your Elohim has given you, your household, the Levi and the foreigner living with you. And after you have separated a tenth, going back to what our fathers had promised, a tenth of the crops yielded. So now this is different. This is not the first fruit. Now this is talking about the tithe, okay, which is the 10% of the yield that comes out of the ground and comes out from the animals and comes out from the grain and comes out from all these things, okay? The year of separating a tithe happens in the third year. And you have given it to the Levi, because that's who's supposed to collect it, the foreigner and the orphan and the widow. It's for them. So that's what the tithes are supposed to go for, okay, every 3 years. And so every third year, so that they can have enough food to satisfy them while they're staying with you. You are to say, in the presence of Yahweh your Elohim, I have rid my house of the things set aside. Now that word set aside right there is kadosh, okay? So the very things, the first fruits and the tithes of Yah are kadosh, okay? And they're giving them to the Levi, the foreigner, and the orphan, and the widow. So there are some things that are given that are kadosh that you and I have custody of, that you and I are supposed to take care of, and to make sure that nothing happens to it. Meaning, you and I can't do certain things. It says, in keeping with every one of the mitzvahs of the commands that you gave me. This is what we are supposed to say. I haven't disobeyed any of your mitzvahs or forgotten them. Now, it's been said by Christians, it's been said by a whole bunch of people that Yisrael was never able to obey Yah, and they were never able to keep the commandments, and they were never able to not transgress him. And as you can see right here, that is a complete lie. You were not able to go and stand before Yahweh if you disobeyed him. You were not able to take something kadosh to Yahweh if you were in a place of disobedience to Yah. And it also says, not only did you not disobey any of them, but you never forgotten them. And the word forgotten there is the shakak, okay? So it says lo shakak, meaning that you will never, right, forget it as you're presenting this to Yah. It says, I haven't eaten any of this food when I'm mourning. So anything that's holy and set apart, you're not supposed to touch while you're mourning. So you should know that the fruits and the set apart and the tithes all have to do with joy. That's what it all has to do with. When you're in a place of mourning, you're not supposed to touch that which is set apart. I haven't put any of it aside when unclean. So I can't be sad when I'm touching it. I can't be unclean when I'm touching it. All right. I haven't given any of it for the dead. I don't give any to my, my ancestors who died, and idolatry I haven't listened to. I have listened to what Yahweh Elohim has said. That means I have Shema. I have done what it says. I've heard it. I obeyed, and I've done everything you ordered me to do. You had to be able to say this when you were standing before the Most High with your tithes. You see? So the idea that we can't do it is not true. I was talking on the phone to someone the other day, and he said, oh yeah, what did he say? He said, we were never able to keep it. I said, no, that's not true. That's not true. They didn't want to keep it. If it wasn't done, folks, it wasn't simply because they couldn't do it. It was because they didn't want to do it. Okay. So the mindset here is that anything that's set apart, is kadosh, is not, you can't mess with it when you're mourning. You can't mess with it when you're unclean. You can't give it to the dead. You have to do what Yahweh says in order for it to be received. Okay. And so he says, look out from your holy habitation. You're my own, right? The place where you live. Yah lives in the heavens, and bless your people, Yisrael, and the land you gave us. And as you swore to our ancestors, a land flowing with milk and honey. And today, because remember, Moshe again is still talking in the same day that he was talking last week and the week before and the week before and the week before. He's still in that same day. Today is still the same day. Today, Yahweh Elohim orders you to obey these, this kukim, okay, and the mishpatim, these rulings. Therefore, you are to observe, meaning guard, and obey them with all of your lavavka, in their mind and your being, everything about you. And you are agreeing today, that Yahweh is your Elohim, and that you will follow his doreka, meaning his ways. That means his paths. And you observe his what? His kukam, mitzvot, in the mishpatim. And you do what he says. That's what you're agreeing to today. And in turn, because you've agreed to do this, in turn, Yahweh is agreeing today that you are his own unique segula. You are a treasure to him as he has promised you, and that you are to observe, meaning guard, all of these commandments, and that he will raise you high above all the nations he has made. Okay. Every nation on the earth is going to be put under Yisrael. And guess what? In praise and reputation and in beauty and glory. And that, he said, you will be a set apart Kadosh people for Yahweh Elohim. So I want you to look at this last verse, and I'm going to let you go. In Deuteronomy 26, the last verse, where he says, I'm going to set you higher. I want to let you know what you're sharing with, so you can go on tonight and understand it. When Yah says that he's going to exalt you, what he's saying, I'm proclaiming to you today, your special treasure, as he's promised you shall keep his commandments, and he will set you. Okay. So Yahweh right here, and he will cause you to be set. And look, Elyon right here. This is a name that he's called. So he's trying to give us an understanding. Okay. Not I'm going to set you room. Room is to be high, right? The R, the resh, and the wa, and that's a different word. That means to lift up and rise, right? He didn't say room. He didn't say room. He said Elyon. That's what he said. And that is ascribed to his name. That's the name by which he's known. His name is El Elyon. So what he's saying is, I'm going to raise you to the highest point that anybody can ever go to. I'm raising you higher. The pinnacle, you're going to be so high that no one can ever sit next to you. This is the reason why Christianity wanted to take this away from us. So in one sense, you can see the importance of us elevating as I can continue to talk about, that you and I need to elevate and be on a different frequency. If you and I can elevate and go to that level, then you and I will be worthy, listen, of being in that position. And what I mean by elevating and being worthy is this. The only reason why Yah gave us the Torah, okay, is so that you and I could be raised to that level. That's the only way. That's the only reason why. You and I can never be exalted without the Kukim, the Mitzvot, and the Mishpatim. We've been trying to do it outside of everything that Yah has said, and nothing has worked. We've been listening to everyone else instead of listening to him. And this is the reason why we've been put down. It's simply because we haven't elevated and we haven't lifted the Torah, which we're going to find in chapter number 27, which we've been over before. So we're not going to spend too much time there because we have already done it before. But he's saying you got to lift it. That which you got to lift up. If you and I lift the Torah up, Yahweh will lift us up. But you and I are going to the highest. And that was the reason why Yah chose Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. It wasn't just for the land. He promised them land for their descendants. But look at the special gift that he gave to us. Look at what he gave to us. He gave us access to him through his mitzvot, his Torah, his kukim, his mishpatim, his rulings, his statutes, his moedim, his shabbats. And so, being noble and being royal, if we want to be on that level, you and I have to ascribe to that if we plan on being Elyon. So you are Elyon. You see, it's already in you to be Elyon. Yah is El Elyon. He's El Shaddai. Our fathers knew him by El Shaddai, the power of the breast. What is the power of the breast? Of sustenance, the power of embracing. I hear you cry. I come out for you. I will come out for you. You see, I will protect you like I told your fathers. I told your father I would protect him. I guide him on his way. And I'm telling you exactly the same thing. I'm telling you exactly the same thing. When I spoke to him and he made a vow to me, he was vowing for you and everybody through his line for eternity. And these are agreements that you and I have with the King of the universe. So we have to fulfill our end of the deal, basically. And that's what this Torah portion about Tavo. When you come into the land, so what is he telling us? I got big plans for you. And when you get to the land, the things that he's telling us right now in our Torah portion is going to be the very things that you and I are going to do. But the change is going to be different, though. And I'll tell you the reason why, because it won't be, you brought me out of Mitzrayim. We won't say that. We're going to have to say something totally different. Because he says in the book, I think it's in Jeremiah. Yeah, in Jeremiah, it says, you're never going to talk about Mitzrayim again. You're going to talk about something else. So this is the reason why he scattered us. And we'll get more into that on Yom Kamishi. We'll talk more about why Yah is doing what he's doing. And he's putting all the pieces together. He's putting all the pieces together for us. Any remarks, contributions?